Well, everybody, you made it again to the stream. Yes, we're doing it at 8 o'clock at night. And I wonder why we're doing it at 8 o'clock at night. Because I told the boys I would take and hook them up a little bit because they missed Saturday. But also, too, I want to get to know the community and what's going on with you all. So that's the reason why we're doing the stream this evening, is to get to know everybody. Probably YouTube didn't put the word out, but I really wish they did. But I got on the horn with me Mr. Machine, my loyal subscriber. Say hello there, Machine.
How's it going, everybody?
See, I told you I got him on the horn. We're going to do a little jaw jacking while we're just sitting here talking about, the first of the days of when I first started. Then I'm going to let Machine talk about when he got started. Then whoever else joins in on the stream. You guys got till midnight to get in and put your 2 cents right there in the chat. So just to let you know that. Yes, it's going to be about 3 hours. So do enjoy the 3 hours, though. Figure I'd tell you in the beginning so you don't get stuck in the wilderness. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Don't forget about the notification bell. And also, too, if you want to become a loyal member of the channel, like Mr. Machine, hit that join button. It would help out the channel, would help us right here grow and everything else, and help us do what we need to do best. Make better videos. So, all right, this is the deal about me. Everybody wants to know about me and how I got started. Well, I got started back about 3 years ago on YouTube. That's where we're going to start. I started with $600 in my hand. That's all I had at the time. So I figured everybody's talking about YouTube. I was sitting there surfing through YouTube and watching everybody sitting there saying, well, I make this much on YouTube. And how many people I've seen that says, I have a fat old check from YouTube. I thought it was a cool idea because I wanted to get back into, the real deal PCs. So I decided to build me a good old PC. That was a B450 motherboard, which I still have. It's sitting over there on the other side. And I figured I'd start out with a Ryzen 5 5600G. And the motherboard was able to hold one M.2 SSD. Good deal. It's the same one I'm using in my new PC. I did grow up in the world. But I got me a $100 camera that connects to the PC that I stream to you guys live. And the PC cost me no more than $400. And with, you got to figure taxes, shipping, and everything else, turned out to be around $600. So, and I've been making YouTube videos ever since. If you notice, if you go back to my day one video till now, you'll see a big difference. My first day video really sucked. But you know what? I tried my best at the time because I knew nothing about YouTube, knew nothing about OBS and everything. I knew nothing about it. So I started that way, and I've been, just rocking ever since. Hoping to get more subscribers too, which we will. We'll get up to 1 million someday. We will get up to that million mark. Right there, Mr. Machine. What do you think?
Well, you got to start somewhere, so.
Well, I know. I've seen you said that. Yeah. Well, everybody's got to start somewhere, bro. Everybody's got to start somewhere. But enough about me. You guys already know I started off my PC adventures in 1986, building PCs all the way up till now. So, just to finish the conclusion of me, and then I'm going to let Mr. Machine talk about his story. He's got a good one for you from what I'm hearing. So, take it away there, Mr. Machine.
I started with console gaming. I've owned everything from Nintendo back in the 80s all the way through Sega Genesis, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, and then I got my first gaming computer in 2019, and it was a GT 1030 inside of that thing, and 6-core 5500 CPU Ryzen. I had that computer all the way until 2 years ago, and then I bought a computer 2023 with the RX 7600 in it with a R7 7700X, and I still have that system today, but I have a 4070 Super in it, and that works great. I found Jay's channel right after I bought that computer with the RX 7600, and I just found the live show on. It was just on YouTube, just on the screen. It popped up as something to watch, so I watched it, and I got to know him as of that time when he had like 150 subscribers during that time frame. And he was there with answers. He was very helpful. He knew what he was talking about, and he wasn't trying to make a decision based on what he wanted or what he thought was right. He was trying to figure out what I needed, and he used what I told him, and he's like, this should work for you depending, because this is what games you like, this is your platform, this should work great. So we just kind of ended up getting into a relationship where we would converse back and forth on Discord and all that, and now we help each other out. He helps me more than I help him, but I think it's this is a really good channel to where if you need help, this man is available for you. Jay is a really good person with a big heart who will help you and spend his time to get to where you need to be with his knowledge base. So if you're in chat, if you're here today, or if you watch this in the future, please don't hesitate to go to our Discord. I'll help you if I can. Jay will help you. There's a lot of people that can help in Discord. We build a community that will help each other out. So that's kind of my story.
Yep. And my Discord's totally free. Members, and I decided to, instead of doing the paid Discord membership kind of thing, I'm just going to make it for all members. It's just going to be on the free channel from now on. So nobody has to pay for anything to get some information. So, but if they want to help out the channel, that's what the super chats are there for. So I just leave it as that. I'm not even going to do the ads thing with YouTube, I don't think. Because I don't think that, you know, people trying to come to my channel, they're really going to see paid ads on my videos and, you know, have to go through ad after ad after ad. You know, I'm sitting there thinking about it. Oh my God, what happens if they freak out? And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking about it. So that's the reason why I do have Patreon too, because I'm still working on Patreon, but, you know, I'm working on different sources so I can get PC parts to the channel, so I can do builds with you guys and do lots of many different things. You know, I know everybody's wondering, well, Jay, when are you ever going to get PC parts? You know, well, thing is this, PC parts cost money, and right now, this is all that Jay does. And if Jay's not, you know, making anything for the channel, which I'm working as fast as I can to get everybody here, and, you know, it takes time. It takes time. You know, I mean, I got this far after 3 years, and I know it seems like it's kind of slow that I'm only over 700 subscribers, and, you know, I want to be at 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost at 4,000 watch hours. You know, it's stuff like that, man. You know, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm working towards. The next milestone. I'm trying to get to the next milestone. You know, I'm not Rockefeller, so I only can do what I can do, right? Machine.
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Oh, well. I thought you were gonna jump in and say, "Okay, man." No.
Oh, I should have kept my GT 1030. That's all I'm saying.
Why?
Because it's nostalgia for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. You traded that for some what? The 77 or the
No,
7600?
I gave it to somebody who didn't have a gaming computer because they needed something.
Right. Well,
So it was right. I mean, it's not a loss. They still use it today. So.
Right, right. Well, what you do is you tell them make sure you get your drink and snacks, like me. That's how you tell them. You just make sure you get. Oh my God, you got your wife in the background. Oh my God. Now I'm scared. She pull you away from your computer again, man. Oh my God.
She's cooking for me.
Oh, that's right. You're gonna be getting dinner soon. Oh my goodness.
Hey, did you hear about the 50/50?
Yeah, yeah, I did hear about the 50/50, but bro, I'm gonna tell you, it's only gonna be GDDR6. It's not gonna be GDDR7. Yeah, I know. I heard the whole 900 yards, and they're gonna only give it 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's just gonna be just as good as the 7600. You know, and I heard all that noise, and yeah, I heard it. Trust me.
$250.
Yeah, but guess what? It has multi-frame generation. It's going to be faster than the 4090.
Yeah, that's right. Because it wouldn't be possible without AI.
Yeah, you can't make that possible without AI. Yeah, of course.
It's come wrapped in a leather jacket.
Yeah, they should. Oh, yeah. Have you heard about the 5090s they were sending from China for Zotac?
Yeah, the ones with the rice bags in them and
yeah, and the meat
socks,
bags and
else.
socks and old GPUs. They did that with the MSI box too.
Yeah.
MSI and Gigabyte. They were sending them from China over here like that. I'll tell you what. Who got hit the most with this is Micro Center. Micro Center was the one that got hit with this. It's because they went on to the greed spree, and guess what happened? That's what happened. See, they got greedy and they were trying to go for cheap GPUs and thought they got cheap GPUs. They got cheap GPUs, all right. They got the box.
Yeah, I agree with Frake's Frames hater that just buy a 4060 instead. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because you're gonna save on your wattage and probably have better performance.
Yeah, I mean, 4060 is not bad. You know, you play you play your games. You know, you play them at low, medium settings. You know, I play them at 1080p. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I play at 1080p. Simple as that. I can crank up DSR and go to 4K if I want to, but you know, or I can go to 1440p and call it a day. It's not actual 1440p, it just bumps the resolution up to 1440p or 4K using DSR, dynamic screen resolution. Bumps the screen resolution up. Not the textures, just the screen resolution. And then everything fits around it. So that way I don't have to use ray tracing. Makes everything look nice. So I play 1440p at 240 hertz on an OLED. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. You know, bro, you could be asking him on the microphone instead of typing. You know, he can hear you.
I don't want to do that while you're talking.
Well, you can say,
hey. Well, I
guess
that's not too bad. Wish I had a system like that.
9800 X3D and a 4090. Oh, yeah.
Great system, man. Congratulations.
Fake frames, you got a good system, man. Just got to make sure that motherboard, got to keep it up to the 800 series like an X870E. I don't trust, don't get me wrong, I don't trust the 600 series with the 9800 X3D. I don't trust the 600 series, period, for a 9800
they're not making
X3D.
them anymore here pretty soon, right? They stopped making the 600 series. So.
Yeah, the B650.
650. Okay.
B650 AMD wants to do away with, because they come out with the B850. You get the 850 series already, so they want to do away with the 650 series. So I don't blame them. I mean, the B650. I just get rid of the whole 600 series, because if they're gonna make the 800 series and 850 series, about around the same price as an X670, the X670E or somewhere in there, and the B850 is going to run a lot faster than the X670. So that's just my opinion, The problem for motherboards is ASRock BIOS settings that have been killing CPUs. Well, believe it or not, Asus had a little bit of a problem too, and so did Gigabyte. They rectified the situation because it was only a single situation. So just to let you know that, it was just a single situation.
MSI also did a BIOS update for that as well. Even though they didn't have any issues, they protected themselves.
Yep, so they went ahead and did that too. Yeah, I remember that. So I use Asus motherboards. I mean, I'm not a. It's not that I'm a fanboy or anything. I wouldn't mind testing out, MSI, Gigabyte, or ASRock. I have to say that. It's every time you get to an X3D chip, it's always X3D nightmares. So we have to kind of think about that, man. We have to think about that. I mean, that's the reason why I only like X series chips, is because with an X series chip, you don't have that issue. It's just the X3Ds you do. So I have to set my VOSC voltage, yeah. Here's a trick. Here's a trick that I use. It has a positive and negative curve on your VOSOC. You can put it on a negative curve setting and put it down. I've done that on videos before. You can put it on a minor slope going to the negative and keep it at 1.2, 1.1. I keep mine at about 1.1 volts on the down negative curve, and it makes my CPU runs great. I don't have a problem with my CPU. Plus, also too, I set the PPT, the power packaging. I keep forgetting that damn name. It's for your power packaging. It's basically your total amount of watts that you use for your CPU. If you can keep the watts down, I clip my watts at 91 for my CPU. So I'm only doing up to 91 watts. It goes from, what was it? It goes from 43 watts up to 91. But I clipped it at the PPT package for the simple fact that with the Asus motherboard, it was pushing it to 143 watts. And it's only a 65 watt chip. And the max you can do it up to is 105. So. Yeah, I think so too, man. It's just I got so much wrapped in my brain right now. It's just trying to come up with the names. You know, I just say it PPT, and everybody should know what a PPT. You know, they say power package. Let me do this. Let me just do this. I'll just do it real quick, so that way we'll find out for sure. Um, Power package power tracking. Sorry, PPT package power tracking. I was saying power package tracking. I didn't. I was close. You guys got to give that to me. I was close. Here, I'll go ahead and post it into the chat. Oh, I can't post it into the chat.
Post it in Discord.
Yeah, but if he's not in Discord, bro, that's the thing. I could post.
You can be fake friends. You can be in Discord if you want. If you like talking about this stuff, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Who else came in on this? Whoa. Oh, we got.
This is fake frames. This is my Discord. By the way.
Oh, fake frames. Oh, that's you. Oh,
yes.
Hey, bro. Welcome to the live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all here, right here, just chatting away on the live stream.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Letting everybody join in. You know, giving their. We're not supposed to be talking about PC parts and stuff. Everybody's supposed to be talking about themselves and their PCs. You know, I was just letting everybody join in. Give us the, you know, let me know what you got for a system. Go ahead, crack at it, man. Let us know about your system while you're here. Mr. Fake Frames?
Oh, yeah. Are you asking what?
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, tell us a little bit about your system, man. What kind of?
So I've been playing a variety of stuff. Like I've been playing Halo Infinite, Black Ops 3, and then like a variety of like newer single player games like Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. I've been playing. I just finished up playing the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Wow.
What kind of case?
So
what kind of case do you have with your system?
So my main PC, I have a Lee & Langcool 3 as the case.
Nice.
And I have an Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 360 millimeter cooler on that.
Nice. That's what the 40. That's what the 4090 and the 90.
Yes.
The 9800 X3D. What kind of motherboard are you rolling with?
I have a Asus B650E-F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. I have that BIOS updated to the most recent Agisa version.
Why did you go with the EF and not the P?
So when I bought that motherboard, I got a open box deal on it at Micro Center a while back. I paid $100 for the motherboard back then. So
that's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, open box. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, you get a snazzy deal on that, you know. So what kind of solid state drive are you using?
I have several SSDs. I have a SN850X 4 terabyte, and then I have another SN850X 2 terabyte,
Ooh.
and then I have two other 1 terabyte drives. Those are just basic. One's like a Samsung 980, and then the other one is like a Seagate Barracuda 120 SATA SSD.
Yeah. Well, me, I got the Monster HDD that's about 16 terabytes, and
Oh, that sounds like an enterprise drive almost.
yeah, it is pretty much. It's a Seagate, the
make
Exos.
enterprise.
Yeah, the Exos drive.
Those are helium filled, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and I got me Samsung 990 Pro, and that's 2 terabyte, and I got me a Corsair, not a Corsair, Crucial P2. That's running my operating system.
Okay.
It's a 3.0 X4 drive, but I've already pushed that drive to its max, and it runs great.
Yeah. The 990 Pro is probably one of the best Gen 4 drives that you can get at the moment, I would say.
I use that for my gaming drive.
Yeah. I still think that Gen 5 is kind of useless for most people at the moment in NVMEs.
I agree.
Well, see, if it's not being properly utilized by these companies, if they're not giving us the full utilization of the 5.0 architecture, you're just running 4.0 x16.
Yep, you're paying for stuff you can't use as of right now. That'll change in the future, hopefully.
As Gen 5 matures, I think you'll get better IOPS, which will lead to slightly better performance, but in gaming in general, it just can't take advantage of even a Gen 4 drive, let alone Gen 5 at the moment.
Yeah, but here's the kicker. 6.0 is coming out in 2026.
But the PCIe standards are always way ahead of the actual usage needs for the consumer.
Actually, they're way behind right now. We should have been past 6.0. We should have been on 7.0. Believe it or not. We were on PCIe 1.0 for the longest time. Until they come up with the 2.0 version on DDR3. And that's, how long did DDR3 last? Think about that. That lasted quite a while. And now DDR4. You know, you got your 4.0 on DDR4. And then everything moves up to AM5. And then you got your PCIe 5.0. So now Samsung's getting ready to get rid of DDR4. They're getting ready to discontinue that, and they're getting ready to come out with DDR6.
Yeah, and I think AM6, and then probably whatever Intel's new platform is with, what is it, Nova Lake, I believe, that's supposed to be coming out next generation for them.
Nova Lake, yeah. But that's going to only be on laptop.
No, that's Panther Lake that you're thinking of.
Oh, probably, yeah. Get them all.
That's laptop only.
Yeah, but the new one that I've been hearing about that Intel's cooking up is supposed to have a lot more speed and a lot more cores and a lot more everything. That's what I've been hearing.
What's your main desktop CPU, by the way, Jay?
Mine? Mine's the Ryzen 7 5700X AM4.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, it's still a solid CPU.
Oh yeah, it's. I got mine cranked up to 4.850 gigahertz.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty heavy overclock.
And then it's running about the same speed as a 5800X.
I don't even think a 5800X out of the box would run at that either.
It's
You'd have to
supposed to.
overclock a 5800.
Well, see, the thing is the 5800X is supposed to clock all the way up to 5.050 gigahertz. Supposed to.
It rarely ever does, though. Typically, the only difference is that the 5800X has a higher power limit out of the box. But the power limit, you can just set PBO on a 5700X and it'll boost to the same speeds the 5800 will.
Yeah. I agree. Tommy, what'd you say? I went through all the DDR eras from MBs to GBs. My first one was 4 megabytes of RAM. Wow. And then I'm all the way here to 64 gigabytes of RAM. Oh my God. Damn. 5950X does the same with great cooling. I do agree with the 5950X, believe it or not. That was my that believe it or not, guys, that was my next step, was the 5950X. Because how much more can you go up higher? That's a 16 core 32 thread processor that's, you know, got what, 40 megs, was it 40 or 60 megs of cache? I can't remember. I thought it had like 60. Am I wrong?
There's 32 megabytes of L3 cache on each CCD, so you have 64 there, and then you have another 4 megabytes of L2 cache per CCD.
That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit for AM4. So, you know.
Yeah, Windows 95. Oh, jeez.
How about trying Windows 1.0A? That is back in the day. There's only one person that I knew that had that copy, and I got a copy of that copy of the 1.0A of Windows back in the MS-DOS days. Technician had it. He got it from Microsoft. I guess he worked over there as an engineer at the time, so I got it from him. Yeah, my first build was Packard Bell, 16 megs of RAM, 1995, Windows 95. My daughter's
5950X and 3090 is
that's a beast.
Strong system.
That's a beast.
Strong system. Yep.
I used that one, 3.1. I hear you there, Tommy. I hear you. But guys, I mean, let's look at what happened when they started coming around with, before even having internet, and all you had was the CDs. And I'm not talking about CDs, you know, I ain't going there. But compact discs before the internet. I mean, where you're playing against the computer itself. Other than Windows 95 crashing about 500 million times, 600 million times, 700 million times. How many times you guys have Windows 95 crash on you? Just put it in the comments. Oh, the big flop, the 5-pound flappies. Have you ever?
Yeah, I remember we had this was in the 80s, so I'll tell you my age, but we used to have a boot disc, a 5.5-inch boot disc, and then we have to put the other disc in to run the computer. That's what my mom had. Back in the 80s, I remember.
I remember back in the day having a hard drive about this big, and it was only 4 megabytes. This big. This big. Not this big like they are now, like those skinny things. This big. Huge, man. Huge drives. And they weighed between 120 and 130 pounds. You imagine having that for a hard drive in your PC? Come on. No. I used to play Super Pitfall on DOS back in the computer lab, 1988. I remember that Pitfall game. I used to play on an Atari too. Super Pitfall, or what? I guess they come out. They come out with so many Atari games I couldn't even keep track of it anymore. The 10 mega drives.
Of the new handheld, the Xbox is partnering with Asus, by the way.
They're going straight to. They're not going to build a console, right? They're going to go handheld. Right?
It's basically a Asus handheld with the Z2 Extreme APU, but Xbox is partnering with Asus to make their own custom Windows that's designed for a handheld.
And since Xbox is part of Windows, there's going to be Windows operating system on there.
Yes, it's just going to be a slightly stripped down Windows install that's more easily usable on a handheld device.
Is that going to be the brand new Xbox, or is it something separate from the console?
It's called an Xbox PC. I don't really think of it as an Xbox console, though.
Right.
Yeah, but also, too, I heard that Microsoft got real pissed off because they got spanked by Steam OS off of, what was it, Linux?
Yeah, I mean, Valve has been working with Linux for years now with their Steam OS.
It's pretty fast.
It is, because it's Linux is just much better and more efficient than Windows currently is.
We all know about Windows. We roll on it every day. Some people roll on Linux. Don't get me wrong. I like Linux too. I like Linux Mint because it's fully packed, ready to go. You just got to do a couple little things, and then you're all set to go with it. Perfect deal. You know. But it's coming down time that, you know, I just had a post. What was it in my let me go back to my community post that I go through. Guy says to me, my computer crashed after updating to KB 505-8499, which I did a video on, by the way, last Wednesday. Well, June the 4th. It's stuck on boot loop, which I told everybody, do not install that thing. Do not install KB 505-8499. You know where mine is? It's stuck in my other file where the advanced files are. It's stuck way back there, and I don't even want to see it as an update. So many people were having so many problems with it, and it comes down to it, Microsoft was shoving recall in there, they were shoving AI crap in there and everything else what people didn't want, and your piece, nobody's PC is set up for it. Nobody has 40 tops. Nobody has 40 trillion operations per second neural processor built onto any part of their PC yet. But Microsoft is shoving the software for it onto all the builders' PCs. Like everybody that's in the community, if you don't have Copilot Plus PC, you can't get it. But they're shoving that software up on everybody. I saw it and I was like, no, this ain't happening. I made a video on it, told nobody to install it. You do, you're at your own risk. So
Yeah, it's really only for laptops at the moment because currently the only NPUs with 40 tops or more are the HX370 with the new NPU and the 890M, and then from Intel they have their new Battle Mage integrated GPU and an NPU with that meets the requirement, and then there's Qualcomm with their highest end Snapdragon Elite 8, I think.
yeah. Well, I'm not too much onto the laptops because I'm more of the desktop kind of thing. I was thinking about getting into the laptop sooner or later, but I wanted to grow the channel for the desktop and everything else, and then start adding in the little perks and everything else with that. So, in time, it'll come, you know.
Hey, Fake Frames, what's your opinion on the with the new maybe Windows 12 with your AI tops happen to be over? I'm saying that right, over 40. Do you think that it'll make the older systems irrelevant, or do you think there'll be a way around that?
I definitely think there'll be a way around it, but what would be the whole goal of wanting to have an NPU with 40 tops? Are they going to be like relying on a machine learning upscaling or like an algorithm for asking like machine learning content on your Windows? Like what would be the point of that is my
Okay,
question.
well, here's the point of what Microsoft's doing. If they want to upgrade the operating system to the new operating system, they have to get everybody on this cycle. From what I heard, this is what I heard, that now the only the trillions operations per second is for your GPU, not your CPU. This is where everybody got it wrong. It wasn't meant for your CPU, it was meant for your GPU. Okay, NVIDIA right now is working in the background with Microsoft to get the tops that's already built onto the NVIDIA graphics cards to fully function, so that way we don't have to change our systems.
The
Now,
problem though with that is that the NPU is built into the SoC of the CPU though, and in order for them to use the GPU, wouldn't they have to redesign the way that they can leverage an NPU or some GPU for that?
no, not necessarily, because if it bypasses through your CPU to your GPU, and you use the right programming, that it could take and just bypass it. It would make it passive at that point. With the right programming, you can make it passive. So, but like, how many people in desktops have NPUs? I mean, even if you had
Hardly any of them.
even if you had the 8700G, it's only got 19 tops.
Yes. It's not even Copilot certified.
No, no. There are rumors that they said, "Oh yeah, it's Copilot certified." No, it's not. It's not hard to figure that out. That's the whole point. It's not hard to figure that point out. But from what I'm hearing, they're going to try to find a passive way to use that on our GPUs. That's what I've been hearing. If it's going to happen, if it happens, it happens, it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay? Now, the only GPUs right now that is active in that field for AMD is the 7900 series. Your 7900 GRE, your 7900 XT, and your 7900 XTX has the function capability to do the same thing NVIDIA is going to do on their, from 20 series all the way up to 50 series. The whole series.
RDNA 4 would also work. It's just that I don't think they have official ROCm support yet for them.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to go that far back. I don't think they're going to go any further than 7000 series. You know, because them smaller GPUs are not going to be able to keep up when you know, they're going to be leveraging the AI tops, especially at that speed. You know, you need at least something with at least at least 500.
The 9070 XT does have better machine learning hardware though than the RDNA 3 cards.
Yeah, but that's still, they're still testing that though. They still haven't come up with a solid answer about that, because I've been asking around and some people have been saying they haven't come up with a solid answer about the machine learning side of the 9070 XT. You have to look at the memory they're using with the 9070 XT too. It might be 16 gigs of RAM, but the thing is they're really stretching GDR6.
Yeah, it's an overclocked variant of 20 gigabit per second memory, I think.
Yeah, because the 4070 is 21 gigabits per second at GDR6X.
But that's on a 192-bit interface versus a 256-bit.
Right, but if you
so
put,
it's a bit of both.
but you can push it the right way and still get the same, close to the same variant. I know, I pushed mine pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely.
I like mine. I enjoy it. End of the day, as long as it can play the game, that's what matters, right?
Yes, that's all that matters.
I mean, mine might not be the 5090 or the 4090, but to me, it feels like it's way better than what I had right here.
Yeah. Jay uses DSR, so he can
There,
play
let me bring that up to you guys closer so you see this little 4 gigabytes of VRAM card right here, so you can see that. So
yeah, I tried DSR on mine, but my monitor's flash, and it bothers the hell out of me.
yeah, I use dynamic screen resolution. I enjoy it. Gives me the feel of the 4K without having to have 4K. Now a lot of people say they don't like it because, you know, it just doesn't look right, and this, I think it looks great. Maybe they're just not running it correctly. What do you guys think?
It depends on your display, I think, honestly. Certain displays, it can look better than others.
Yeah. Maybe because I use a HD TV. I use a smart TV for my main monitor. Is because what not a lot of people understand is, you know, you got an your color in your monitor and everything else can be set up through the TV function itself. So you can set up all the colorations and everything else, and your GPU doesn't have to worry about it because your monitor, TV, or whatever handles that function. But if you get a monitor that can't handle the functions, and you're depending on your GPU to use the functions, then you're actually pulling more power away from your GPU instead of leaving the power onto your monitors, the monitors themselves. Which with NVIDIA, they give you an option. You can either want to use the effects from the monitor or the effects from the graphics card. I use the effects from the monitor is because it uses less of the graphics card. Gives you, you know, less latency, I think. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys put your input in there. You know, you're on the horn.
I mean, I personally just run at whatever my native monitor or TV resolution is normally, because unless I'm hitting like a CPU bottleneck, it's really not needed for me to go above the monitor's resolution. If I want it to be more demanding, I'll just run it without upscaling.
Machine?
Yeah, I just run my 1440p. I just run mine and my one 1440p monitor and then my one 1080p. So, but the 4070 Super does great at 1440p. So.
Oh yeah, it's a solid card.
And I got lucky and got it right before all this mess happened in February. For those, I got one of the last ones that Best Buy had, and I paid $600 for it.
And it's the same performance as a 5070, which is
Pretty much. Yep. Less bandwidth, but for the game for 1440p,
it has
I
more
think that's good.
shaders. It has more shaders and more RT cores, though.
Yep. I think the 4070 Super is a very solid card for the price overall for the last couple of years.
Well, you have
if it had 16 gigabytes of VRAM, it would be perfect. It'd be absolutely a god card. But when I played Cyberpunk at 1440p with DLSS quality on, I still can't run path tracing. But it's not the end of the world. I'll take it. So it's not the end of the world.
And
I like to run path tracing.
Tommy over here says AMD would be better to refresh that lineup over the 7900 XTX. That would be the same bus and RAM. Yeah, believe it or not, I agree with you on that. But with faster GDR7, yeah, exactly. But they already said when they did the 9000 series that they weren't going up to GDR7 because of the price. And they didn't want to overprice the GPUs, so they stayed at GDR6.
So they just waited for the AIB partners to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah.
I can't imagine paying $1,000 for a 9070 XT. Can't imagine it.
Well, yeah, the 9070s are still 9070 XTs are still going on close to about $1,000.
I saw a 9070 non-XT Newegg today for $620. It's the lowest I've seen one.
Yeah, the price is coming down because people are not buying them as much anymore. So
everybody that really, really wants one has got one already.
I was thinking around July, August, the prices would have been coming down. That was my idea.
Yeah, you said 6 months after launch.
Yeah.
You said it. Yep.
I was thinking July, August. So thank God I got mine before the madness. Yeah.
But I like the fact that the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte is staying close to $400. I think that's great for the lower end market.
The 16 gigabyte.
Yeah, I think that it's a good way to get people in, and it's a solid card. It can play 1440p if you use the software. But if it gets close to the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte in price, then I would go NVIDIA because their software's better.
Right.
But for $400 for a 16 gigabyte card that'll run 1440p and it kills 1080p, it's not. That's a great price to me.
The 9060 XT is basically the PS5 Pro GPU on PC, is what I view that GPU as.
Yeah.
And then you have a better CPU than what you get in there because you have what? You have RDNA 2 CPU inside the Pro?
Zen 2.
Zen 2? That's right. Sorry, I said it wrong.
Ooh. That's worse than mine.
Yeah, it's an old processor. It does what it needs to do, and that's what keeps the price low.
What people fail to realize that the PS5 is not running Windows 95. It's on a set program from Sony. So basically they set it up for speed only. Not like
they also stripped out portions of Zen 2. They stripped out all the floating point and it's only running integer operation.
Yeah. They stripped it way down. So
yeah. But
what about the 3700X?
What?
Tommy said, what about the 3700X?
It's similar to that CPU.
Yeah.
It's slightly different though.
Yeah.
I just wish I got the one mistake I made buying my system, besides getting a cheap motherboard, but I didn't know. I was learning. I didn't know any better. Was I wish I would have gotten more beefier CPU. There's nothing wrong with the 7700X, but I think more cores would have been a better option and spend the money there.
You know my honest opinion to you? You really want to hear it?
What?
If it was my system and I had the option, you already upgraded to the 850 watt power supply, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
You've upgraded your SSDs to give you more speed. You can upgrade your RAM, your system RAM, to like 6,000.
Right now.
And if you're going to do that, you might as well just go for the whole 900 yards, upgrade the motherboard to one that will handle this 7700X a little bit better than what ASRock's handling it with that basic board. Make sense? I see how I didn't steer away from the 7700X, because if you look at the benchmarks, how well it stays up with some of the big boys in the 9000 series. Am I wrong, guys? Tell me if I'm wrong.
Wait, what are you asking again? I didn't quite.
He said the 7700X from AMD, the processor CPU, isn't good enough, but he wants to go up to a next level. But if you go and you look at a 9600X or a 9700X, okay, it's a balancing game.
It's not that much faster in reality.
No, it's a balance.
Going to the 9700X, you'd have to go to a 9800X 3D to get a substantial performance leap, in my opinion, for gaming.
But if he really wanted, if he really wanted to get a big leap, he would go to an B850 motherboard, get 6,000 to 6,400 megahertz RAM at CL30, and push the CPU in a different direction. Because the expo on the 800 series is supposed to be a little faster than the 600 series.
It really depends. If you're trying to run 8,000 megahertz in Gear 2, yeah, you can get it more consistent on the 800 series motherboards. But if you're just doing 6,000 Gear 1 with low timings, you can do that on any B650 board.
Yeah. Me, on the other hand, I would push it a little bit differently. I wouldn't use Expo at all. I would manually set my timings.
Yeah, you can turn the Expo profile on and then manually adjust all the timings anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just some of the games I play just eat that CPU up, and like Starfield, it's just I'm up in the 70 percentile area, and that's on medium PCs in towns. So I see people with the 16 core CPUs, and they're running half of that. So with games, I think games are becoming more CPU dependent, but I'm not an expert in that field, so.
It depends on the game. Certain games are CPU heavy, other games are not, and they're just purely GPU.
But also, too, now these days with the specific RAM type, you know, your system RAM plays a big key part in what you're doing too, bro, because you're only doing 5,200 megahertz.
Oh, he has
That's
a lower
yeah, it's CL36 too. No.
Yeah, it's
CL38.
Wow, yeah, that's like, yeah. And Tommy says 8 cores stopped being enough 5 years ago. Yeah, I do agree. If you're a multitasker, if you just game, 8 cores won't be a problem, but if you content create and everything else, you need 16 cores. Yep.
Oh, you're running 8 too, Jay.
I know. I do good with 8. I'm happy with
you
it.
do great. Yep.
And we got somebody else new on the Discord. Who's else is new they got in here? Oh. Somebody left the chat. Oh, it looks like Mr. Fake Frames left the chat. Hopefully it'll pop back in. Probably it was just a internet thing, booby. You know. Maybe I'm talking too much. I don't know. You guys think I talk too much? Let me know in the comments. Just let it rip.
Yeah, I don't do any multitasking except, look at videos and stuff on the other screen while I'm gaming. That's the most multitasking I do with my computer.
Yeah, but like I said to you, man, if you go up to an Asus motherboard, you go and believe it or not, if you go to buy a different motherboard now, you're best out, truthfully, thinking about it, just stay right where you're at. Truthfully, just stay right where you're at. And
I'll use my money to build a brand new system when the next one comes around.
Yeah, hold on, the dog's barking. Okay, I got that out of my system. Machine.
Okay.
I got that out of my system. The dog was barking and I just had to turn around because my neighbor popped in. Probably seeing if I can go get coffee and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's probably one of those times.
So we use the general text chat most of the time in the Discord, just so everybody knows.
Yep. I'm here because of Fake Frames, me and him talk on Discord. Well, you're more than happy to come up on our Discord. I left a link in the video thingy somewhere in here, I left it right here, How about I just pin it? There. Message pinned. Does that help you guys any better if I pin the message? So, if you want to get up on our Discord, there, I pinned the message for you. I should have thought about doing that a while back. I'm pretty much waiting and letting my Intel build run its course 14900K before it burns out. Yeah, we know. 5.8 gigahertz, never had an issue from day one. Waiting till at least 2 years, the cycle too fast.
Cycles are too fast, yeah, I agree.
Yep. Mr. Fingy. What's up with Mr. Finger?
That's his Discord name.
Oh, well, if you're already on the Discord thingy, man, welcome. Yep. You made it, Mr. Finger. Well, welcome.
Now, which finger is it?
Not the one you stick in your nose. It'll be the one sticking in your nose. There. You don't want to just. We all talk. Okay. Tommy, listen. We all come on and talk on the general text chat. I have different chat box. How can I say it? I got different chat areas, but we all usually talk on general text chat. And also, too, with the general voice chat, if you want to join in on the voice chat, that's open to the public. So if you guys want to start like get a chat group going, and that's up to you guys. It's like open, it's like an open voice chat. So if you guys want to start like a little chat group or something, you can just click on there and do your thing.
And if you see people in there talking, you can join in whenever. It's for the public, so no issues at all.
Yeah. It's my Steam handle. Okay. Cool. We got to get known what everybody wants to put these PCs. You know, what's going on with your PCs, guys? Got to let us know what you're rocking. See, that's the thing. It's the whole idea. Get to know. I'm trying to get to know everybody. I already know Machine. I already know what he does. I am probably close to know where he lives too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I try to get to know everybody that's subscribed to this channel. I feel it's fair to get to know everybody, and that's the reason why I'm doing this right now. So,
make it a date.
I had my wife confused because I did a voice chat and she thought I was making a date. Oh God. No problem, man.
Expedition 33. What is that? Is it a turn-based game, or is it? How would you, if you were to compare that game to another one that's popular? What would you compare it to?
Wow. Man's rock.
It's really popular game. Scores really high on Steam.
I heard everybody's playing it.
Yeah, but I'm not a turn-based game. It is turn-based. I'm not a turn-based game fan type of player.
Yeah.
But the storyline really good.
It's about like Control, I think. Probably is what I've been hearing. It's about a little better.
There's nothing really like it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. The only other turn-based game would be I can't remember the name of it. That came out a few years ago or a year ago.
I got one that I got
very
one.
Popular too.
I got one that it's basically, if you look on my videos, I did one of those games that were not, it's a story adventure game. I mean, it was really intense. But I think the games now are starting to get a lot better than they were back a year ago. So
I got the Expedition 33 on my Steam wish list, so when it goes down in price, I'll get it.
Tommy says Parasite Eve is the game. It's like it.
Yeah, I've never played that one.
Yeah. Neither have I. I'm just trying to get used to Control right now,
Yeah, I got him Control, Tommy, and it's the first time he's played Control.
I'm trying to get used to Steampunk, Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get used
to that. Yeah, you have to do a live stream, and we'll run you through it so you can get out. You can get out and run around the city.
No, I'm just going to start off in the beginning, back over again, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bypass that little thingy right there. So I just run crazy.
And as soon as you get to your apartment, you have free reign.
So I have to work around that, basically.
Yeah, because it automatically puts you into this little tutorial, and then you go after that. And then once you get through the tutorial, then you're free reign, you're ready to go.
So I still got to go through the tutorial. When I get into the car with the guy, I still got to go.
No, you do not have to. No, you can skip that part. But once you go from there, you got to kill a bunch of people in a room. Finish that part, and then you go back to your. Then you got to drive a little bit, do some shooting out of the car, and then you go to your apartment. And then after that, you do what you want.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's at that point you got like 20 minutes left of gameplay. About once you get to that point.
So what do you do for 20 minutes?
Well, once you get when you're in the car and he hands you the training chip, you say no, I don't want it. You got about 20 minutes until you get to your apartment of gameplay left, and then once you get out of your apartment, You can do whatever. You can run all over Night City, steal a car, go to the other
But
parts.
if I want to go through the training, I can basically.
You can if you want. Yeah. So it's up to you. I don't think you need it because you figure things out as you go.
Yeah.
Because you'll learn just through trial and error.
Yeah, I think I would be better off not going through that training thing. I'm stuck right there at the guy that you got to program the frequencies and stuff. I was like, I can't believe you guys put me through this. I was like,
yeah, just skip that.
yeah, I'm like,
The game gets pretty complicated, but as you go through it, as long as you're following like the tasks that are given to you, it'll lead you in the right direction. So.
yeah, I got you there. I just have to take my time through it. You know, I like the beginning how it started off. It started off really good, and then once you got into that car, and then that, which way do you go? I mean, some people say, okay, well, I get a little bit of training, and turn around, they're sitting there kicking your butt in the training.
Huh?
Yeah, you got to have a joystick to play that, man. There's no way you can get through all that noise without a joystick.
I have a keyboard and mouse. I use it all the time.
Yeah, so do I. See, all day long, I got a keyboard and mouse. See, keyboard, mouse, I got it all day long. I got about maybe 7 of each.
Okay, so Tommy, have you beaten Cyberpunk yet?
You might have left a room. We don't know.
Maybe. Shows 3 watching.
Oh no, that's right. I keep forgetting 10-second delay. Oh my god.
Okay. Cyberpunk. Horror fan? Yeah. Okay. So you like the Resident Evil game and they got a lot of good little cheap horror games that are Unreal Engine games that are pretty good.
There was one that I played, dude, that just totally flipped me out. It was so gory and so bloody and messy. I can't remember what the hell it was.
So Tommy, are you looking forward to Hell Is Us? Kind of along those lines. Trolls kind of like that too.
Hell Is Us is Hell Is Used.
They did a update on the Hell Is Us demo, by the way. I don't know if you've read it since then.
No, what kind of update did they do?
It's supposed to update the issues that they're having with certain GPUs.
Yeah, like mine.
Alan Wake, yeah, I've got Alan Wake 2. Silent Hill is good, yep. I haven't played all of Alan Wake 2 yet. I gotta get back into that.
Silent Hill. Oh God.
No, Silent Hill is it's a pretty freaking game.
They need to come up with a 3D interactive Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Doom. No demons.
What was the one that they were sitting there and got all these dead people chasing you and you got to chop them up? What was that one? Was that Doom? Where you got to splatter them all?
I don't know. They've got that's Days Gone. I don't know if that'd be considered a horror. It's more of a zombie apocalypse game, but it's very popular. That's another one that's popular.
Well, there's one that I got stuck at the beginning. I can't remember the damn name of that game. It's like it would set you in there and somebody would try to jump out and eat you within a matter of 5 seconds.
I don't know. Hey, Tommy, do you have control? Yeah, Days Gone did get boring. I didn't finish it. I agree. Kind of repetitive.
Welcome back.
Oh.
I'm back.
Yeah. And another game that is kind of under the radar is the Forever Winter. That is a very interesting game. They do have a demo. It's kind of like a horror. But it's futuristic mech. It's a co-op first person horror looter shooter, and it has mechs in it and like these zombie guys, and it's crazy. It's considered a horror, but I don't know. It's interesting. It's different. So it might be something if you want to try the demo. It's free on Steam.
Let's see.
But it's made by the same guys that made the original Horizon Zero Dawn. So they know what they're doing when it comes to making games.
Oh yeah,
Unreal Engine.
I found the
Unreal
game.
Engine game.
I found the game. It's prototype. One Day I Am. Gotta try that. That game, oh god, that had me for a loop. I didn't even make it past 5 seconds of being on the game, and I was dead. These people jump out of everywhere and just eat you. And if you're not fast enough, you're dead. So, very gory stuff.
Controller right now on Steam is $5. Should still be $5.
I thought they gave that game away on Epic a long time ago.
They might have, but $5 is not bad for a decent game.
Yeah, it's a good price.
Oh, Max Payne! I remember Max Payne. God, it's been so long. I played that on console. Man, the original Max Payne. I got so mad with that area where you had to go through the building with the fire. I couldn't do it. I got mad through my controller. I remember.
Wasn't that a Max Payne? Wasn't that a Sega kind of thing?
I can't remember. It was a while ago. It might have been a PS2.
Yeah, you might be right about that. Yeah.
Man, I wish I would have kept my N64. Man, with all the games I had, I could have kept all of that. Everything was working.
I should have kept my Nintendo. So, my original Nintendo.
PS1? Okay. I might have played it on the PS2. When I probably bought it for the PS2 because they probably made a PS2 version of the game. That's when I played it.
I miss Super Mario Brothers.
So, I got a question for everybody. How long before GPUs become irrelevant and they put everything on a motherboard?
Well, it'd
I'm
have
gonna say at least 10 years before that.
You think so?
becomes a thing.
Okay.
I would say a
But
little
the
bit
thing
more.
is,
Oh, go ahead. After you.
oh wait, you go ahead, Jack.
No, sir. After you. You spoke up. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I feel like GPUs could always be a thing in the future. It's just whether they're mainstream or not is the bigger question, I think. because, like, yes, everything could be on an SoC on a single motherboard, but is that going to be cost effective for most people to buy that, or are they just going to want to use older hardware in the future to run those games instead?
Yeah, and I guess if you put everything on a board, it's going to be impossible to upgrade it, right?
Nope.
You have to buy a whole new system.
Nope.
It depends on how they do it, honestly. If they're using like a CAM2 module for like the DRAM,
Okay.
you might be able to upgrade like the RAM and the storage, but like upgrading the SoC itself, that's questionable of whether they have a socketable chip or if it's soldered directly onto the board like a GPU is on its PCB.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering when they're going to set it up like they do on the consoles, when it's all in one.
An SoC, like with the iGPU and the CPU on the same chip.
Yeah. I mean, you're just not going to get very much power out of that. You can never make something, I don't think, at least at this point, that size, that'll have the power of a 4090. It's just, there's no way.
The highest end APU that exists currently on the PC is Strix Halo, which is a 40 compute unit integrated GPU with 16 Zen 5 cores. But the problem is that it has LPDDR5X memory, so even though it has a lot of compute, it still doesn't have bandwidth that can feed it like GDR7 or GDR6 would.
Wow.
Yep. That's one of the issues. It's been that issue for years. Nothing ever really changes. But if you guys really want to know what I think about the motherboard thing, if they use an EATX motherboard and they kind of take out some of the extra peripherals that they got on the motherboard that some gamers don't use. Some gamers only use like 2 USB ports. I mean, and if they move things around, they could take those GPU dies and they could take and turn it into like a chip like your CPU, and they can mount it to the motherboard, but not solder it to the motherboard. They can make it removable, and with having 2 extra sockets that everybody claims they only use two system RAM, they only use 2 sticks. Well, then take the other 2 slots and then make that for the VRAM slots. So you got two slots for the motherboard, and you got 2 slots for the graphics card. And they haven't.
Isn't that still too far away?
It's not the distance that's the problem. It's the trace quality of those boards that has to be much higher in order for them to be high bandwidth low latency.
Yeah. Would they run hotter?
Yeah, I would imagine the traces would probably run hotter for like a GDR7 trace, I'd imagine, compared to like GDR5.
So you can have them where the system memory is right now.
But the problem is that there's no current setup right now that has GDR6 or GDR7 on a RAM stick like DDR4 or DDR5 right now.
The problem is the lanes.
And so it would need separate. It would need its own lanes on the motherboard. Dedicated to okay.
And its own.
But you can still make it run as fast.
I don't really know about that yet. That still has not existed on the current PC.
It's been thought of, but it hasn't been totally
implemented.
Yeah. Because then
that'd be interesting.
Well, then they would have to take and build controllers onto the GPU die, and it would probably become too much of a hassle for them to do that, especially when they build some of the controllers externally.
Because then VRAM will be something that's not an issue anymore.
Well, the memory controller still has to be on the GPU. It's just that the traces from the motherboard have to be much higher quality for it to go across the motherboard to a RAM slot for GDR memory.
Yeah, but they're working on the new light speed for the CPUs. I don't see why they can't do it with the GPUs. You heard about that, right?
Light speed, I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah, I think it was IBM. It was IBM that was working on a new CPU chip to where everything was doing it through the light. They said doing it through the speed of light. Basically, how you what do you call it?
That would almost be like fiber optic.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about doing. And they were working on it, but they haven't finished it yet. But they've been working on it. Have a chip to where the speed of information's going through, fiber optic into the chip itself from other parts of the motherboards.
What kind of power would you need to run that?
It all depends. All depends.
Like it'd be
No, because you can set fiber optic wires to like power controllers, that's set for the power of the transistors. You can split it off that way and power your transistors up through the light frequency through photo something.
To me, it would make more sense instead of having everything on one motherboard. I think what needs to happen first is that we need to have GPUs that are swappable for the GPU die and the VRAM modules before we try to do it all on one motherboard with a CPU and a GPU.
I agree with you. Well, if they can make it hot swappable for you to put an SSD on the back of your graphics card, why couldn't they make the VRAM hot swappable?
The biggest problem, again, is going to be the trace quality. They have to keep the integrity of the signal perfect for the actual VRAM, which is why they have to solder it onto the motherboard currently. They can make a solution where you can take it in and out more easily without having to heat it up with like a high temperature solder of some sort, then it'd be much easier.
Well, it'd be nice if they did the CU DIMM that way, and they could do the VRAM that way. Because the pins if there's enough pressure and the pins are if you go pin to pin, they're afraid of static electricity. Everybody knows that the heat will build up. It's like when you have a break in a wire. Heat will build up into that break until it just gets so hot it just melts. That's the problem they're having with the VRAM doing it that way, is because if they do it like you do the new CPUs, the land grid array, you do it that way, and 9 out of 10 chances with the amount of speed that's going through those VRAM chips, it's gonna melt the pins. That's why they have to hard solder it to the PCB, is because there's just so much information going through there so fast. It becomes to where it'll heat up so much hotter. But your CPU it's not going to heat up that hot, but your GPU does. Your GPU, your system, your VRAM, all that. That's the reason why they have a whole separate unit with your graphics card, is for that fact. Because if they put it onto the motherboard, it's going to heat up the motherboard so bad it's going to burn traces. That's where they're having the problem right there. But if they did a daughter board, usually, I'm sure you guys heard of the fact of using a daughter board. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I have a mini ITX board like that that has a separate daughter board for certain things.
now if they did it like that, then they might be able to get away with doing removable VRAM chips, socketed. You know, they could get away with that, but now with the new speeds and everything else, I don't think they can get away with it anymore. So,
Yeah, GDR7 is also much higher memory bandwidth per 32-bit interface than last gen GDR6. But it still doesn't run that much hotter, though, from what I've seen.
oh yeah, it can. From what I've seen, it runs hotter than mine.
It doesn't run hotter than the 9070 XT VRAM. That thing runs at 90 degrees C almost all the time.
Ooh.
My RX 6800 did that when I had it.
It depends how overclocked the VRAM is out the box. Like, I think that 20 gigabit per second memory is really like an overclocked variant of like 18 gigabit memory.
I thought it was 16.
Well, the 9070 is using 20 gigabit per second. The 6800 uses 16 gigabit per second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you, Fake Creams. So you're extremely knowledgeable about this stuff. What's your background?
I mean, I have just a general interest in hardware. I don't really have like an official like background. I mean, I've done IT work before, but never specialized in anything really other than like general like help desk.
Because you're a wealth of information. I'm glad you came on here. I'm learning a ton from you. Yeah, I'm learning a ton from you. I've only been really researching this for 2 years. So like when it comes to like anything with motherboards and stuff like that, I really don't know. I'm a gamer, so I mean I did a lot of research to pick out the 4070 Super. The J's help. Like, I mean, you're really knowledgeable. I'm glad you're on Discord and stuff. So if I got questions, please answer them.
I'll try to if I can.
Yeah. Right.
You know, some things I might not be able to, but. You know.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, I like how you kind of know what's going on, and I'm learning a ton. So I'm glad you're on here. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
Mm.
Also, so I read a little blog about the developers of games, and they're not able to use the speed of the VRAM on the NVIDIA 5000 series cards. Have you heard anything about that yet?
So basically the way I view it is that a GPU needs a certain amount of memory bandwidth in order to effectively utilize the GPU core. But if you don't have enough GPU compute to feed that bandwidth, that extra memory speed basically gets unused, essentially.
Like a 5060 kind of.
The 5060 definitely takes advantage of the memory bandwidth because it's a 1.8-bit interface. Like, if you look at the 4060, all of that performance gain to the 5060 is from the faster memory.
Okay. But if you have a larger bandwidth, it won't be able to. So explain that. Sorry.
But that all depends on the builder.
When would it not work?
For example, if you had like a GPU with like 64 compute units and you have like 1.5 terabytes of bandwidth, do you really think that bandwidth is going to scale for a lower end GPU? Okay. Or will it stop scaling at a certain point? Like, eventually you're going to hit a GPU compute limit where you have too much bandwidth to feed the GPU cores.
Yeah, it makes sense. Or you could have
like
too
the
little.
4090, for example, has too little bandwidth. That's why the 5090 got the big uplift in certain games, because 4090 just hits a bandwidth limitation and it can't feed the shaders.
Now, if you overclock the memory, that'll increase the bandwidth. Is that correct?
Yes, it will, but only to a certain extent because
Like not by much, only a couple percentage points, right?
Yeah, like you're gonna go from what, a terabyte to like 1.1 terabytes or something. You might gain.
So you're not going to see too much of it.
Yeah, you'd have to basically get like 400 to 500 more gigabytes of bandwidth to really see that overclock matter.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered that because the developers are saying that they. This was a couple months ago. I read.
I think the best card to use as an example would probably be the 5080, because the 5080 it only has 4 more SMs than the 4080 Super, but it has substantially more memory bandwidth. But it doesn't beat the 4080 Super by that much because it just hits a GPU compute wall essentially, where it can't scale. But I have seen that overclocking the 5080 has better results because as you overclock those cores, the bandwidth that you have comes in handy in that scenario, I think.
Okay. Always wondered that. Okay.
Yeah. So you need both in reality. You want cache, bandwidth, and then GPU compute. It's just that if you don't have enough GPU compute, that bandwidth gets wasted, essentially.
Yeah. And that's why on the lower tier cards it's 128-bit.
Yeah, and that GDR7 really makes a big difference on the lower end cards rather than like the super high end.
Well, then why wouldn't they put it on the 5050 then? They're putting GDR6 on the.
It's cheaper probably, and they're probably trying to segment the 5050 from the 60. I had to guess.
That would make because if you had something that was really close.
Yeah.
Why would you get the 5060? That's probably extremely true.
They're trying
to.
Well, no, they're trying to take the 5050 and make it a lower end card, so that way it does break away from, and it makes the 5060 look like a mid-range card compared to the 5050 being an entry-level card. Especially with the amount of cores that they're going to be putting with that, and the amount of VRAM they're going to put with it, it's not going to be anything more or less like what they just put for the 5060.
So I know that the 5060 over the 4060 had a pretty good core increase, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it had a decent amount.
But here's the boober of it all. They're going to take a 5060. What is it? I heard that they're going to do a 5060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM.
How?
That would require 3 gigabyte modules.
Yeah, that's what they're
thinking. You
thinking.
can still have it 128-bit bus.
Yeah, so 4 times 3 instead of 4 times 2, right?
Right.
Okay, so as long as you okay, yeah.
Well, remember, NVIDIA just got they got their hands on the 3 gigabyte chips. They just did.
There was a Video Cards article today where you can buy 3 gigabyte GDR7 today as a consumer now.
Yeah. See, NVIDIA's been sitting on all these cards, all these chips and everything else, but the end of the day, they're saving everything for their business models. They're not really doing that much anymore with the gamers.
Well, that's where the money is.
They're just throwing us the bones. That's all they're doing right now. So,
still great products. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, the way I used to play games versus today, it's completely different. This is life changing almost when it comes to gaming. It's just phenomenal the things they can do with games today. So it's unbelievable. It's like playing a movie. Instead of watching a movie, I get to be the main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really cool. I like. Yeah.
The problem for me is that we have all this hardware, yet we have terrible software, and we have a lot of badly made games nowadays.
Oh yeah.
True. Yeah, because when we first buy a game, we're all beta testers until they can fix it 6 months to a year down the road.
Yeah, but like I said before, if they can't come up with the right software, then I'll go right back to old Microsoft Basics drivers, and I'll run off of them damn things until they get it fixed. Either way. Yeah, you can still use Microsoft Basic drivers. I know they suck, but at least you can still game just a little bit, not much. I've already tried it.
I mean, if you use older NVIDIA drivers on like a 40 series card, they're still fine, honestly, and they have less issues.
You can't get them anymore.
Yes, you can. You
Yeah,
can
you
download like 566.36 or 566.14. You can still find the older driver versions.
Well, Jay was looking for the December drivers and he couldn't find it. Right, Jay?
Well, I couldn't find it because I already had it.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's funny.
See, I've down ever since the first day I've gotten my graphics card. I've downloaded every driver from day one, all the way up till the recent one, 576.52, which I'm running right now, and I don't have a problem with it. So
yeah, I think it's more the 5000 series that are having issues with these newer drivers, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not having issues. And we got another guy that gets on here, and he has a 3060 12 gigabyte.
Well,
he runs that. He hadn't any issues with his either.
Well, yeah. Well, if you look at some of the comments that I got on some of my videos, it's 50-50 split. So I don't know.
I did want to mention that it's not just about the driver version; it's also about how you install your driver as well. A lot of people use the NVIDIA app to install their drivers for them instead of manually downloading the driver, instead of DDUing. They're not using a clean install of the driver. They're not using like NVClean to install the driver. A lot of that stuff can also prevent issues.
Well, I'm gonna correct you on that a little bit. You know why I'm gonna correct you on that? Because I've never used DDU on my computer. I've always upgraded from one to the next because it overwrites the old drivers to the new. And it might leave one or two that are straggling in there, but over time that disappears. Okay? And the reason why it does is you don't want to take out everything, because some of those drivers are connected to other programs that are still running in your PC. Even if you shut down and restart it, there's still going to be dependencies for different items that are running in your PC, especially with Windows. And this is where everybody, gets into the point of crashing and everything else and blue screening. I learned after Windows 95 to not do that, taking out the drivers.
I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're switching GPU vendors and you're going
AMD, I mean, if you're going from NVIDIA to AMD, then yeah, I can see the difference. Okay, that or Intel. If you're switching to a different, manufacturer, yeah, I can see doing that. But if you're going from NVIDIA to NVIDIA to NVIDIA, then there's no sense of doing it.
Yeah, you don't have to. I just found that I would lose some performance here and there if I did DDU every once in a while.
I've never lost performance. That's the thing. I check my performance day in, day out on my PC, and I have not lost performance yet.
I mean, I've lost performance with driver versions and also by doing dirty installs before, so I guess it just depends.
Well, some people like it doing it one way, some people like doing it the other. Everybody has the idea that sometimes, just overwriting the old with the new, that there's going to be issues down the line. And so far, I can tell you there's no issues down the line. If you can manage your software any way you want. Me, I manage mine by just updating from the the NVIDIA website. I download them, install them, done. I don't need to hassle myself with DDU or anything else. It's just a big pain in the butt. Why am I going to take it? Not a lot of people know that you have to go over and, to use DDU, you have to know which one to use, because you don't want to pull out system drivers neither, because that program will pull out system drivers. And if you don't do it right, then, you know, some people, they just pull out their drivers right on Windows itself instead of going over into safe mode and doing it right.
Yeah, you're supposed to boot into safe mode. It gives you a warning typically.
Yeah, some people don't. They do it right on their Windows. And then they run into problems and they wonder why. Well, that's because you had the drivers loaded while you were on the main operating system instead of going over to safe mode, which you're only running in basic drivers. Then that way not all the drivers are loaded, and so that way you can remove them and replace them. I know, I mean, it's but some people don't do that. They just do it right on the Windows, and then 10 minutes later they play a game and they're crashing. Every game they play, they crash. And they're like, what do I do? What do I do? And that's the reason why I say don't even do that anymore. Because I hear a lot of people doing that and doing it wrong, and they just don't get it. So I tell them to do it the easiest way. See, now remember, NVIDIA has a program called NVIDIA Clean Install.
That's built into the driver. You can do a custom installation, and then you can check clean install when you're doing it.
Yeah, you can do it right there. I mean, if you want to clean install, I know NVIDIA made that program based just to clean up the, you know, the old drivers, to take out the old and so you can put in the new. So you got that, but they also got another program, not just there, that you can take and go and modify things. It's what they call NV Clean Install.
Yeah, that's what I also use. So I typically DDU in safe mode, and then after I DDU, I go into Windows and use NV Clean Install to install the driver.
Yeah, but some people don't do it that way. They just go to DDU, they do it right on their Windows, then after that, they shut down and restart their PC. What's the first thing that's going to happen when you do that?
It's going to wipe the driver, and it's probably going to have potential issue. It's going to be like a basic display adapter when they boot back into Windows.
Well, that's not a bad thing, having a basic display adapter. At least you got a driver to come back into Windows. But some people do it wrong, and they can wipe out the basic display drivers too.
Yeah, that would not be good.
That's where they get the corruption part. So that's the reason why they have all that corruption part, because they don't know how to use DDU, and they watch some other off-site, you know, some other web tube, and they try it themselves, and then I get email messages, man, I need your help. How can I fix this? I can't get back into my operating system anymore, and this and that. And it really sucks now because, you know, with Microsoft taking the F8 key away that they used to have on for the older systems, you hit F8, you tap F8 key, and you can get into safe mode right then and there. But now you have to go through the whole thing to go into their service program in order to get into safe mode. So I mean, it's just,
it's annoying to get into safe mode because typically the easiest way for me to get into safe mode is once I'm in Windows, I just use ms config, and then I check the boot tab, and then click safe boot, and then I click restart now.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. But some people don't do it that way, and they just, you know, go willy-nilly on it, and it becomes a mess. And then
the one thing I will say about DDU though is that if you have a newer version, like within the last year, DDU does have a restore point that it will create for your system. So if you do have an issue, you can go into the troubleshooting section of Windows and then boot into the restore point of Windows, and you can restore to a previous state.
Yeah. I see what Tommy just wrote. Put msconfig run admin. I can get there. Yeah, everybody that wants to get there, there's how you get there. Safe mode, restart, use DDU. Guys, don't get me wrong. I know you guys do it a different way than I do it, but the way I do it, I just basically I go to NVIDIA's website. I just update my drivers. When I see it pop up on NVIDIA app, I just go and I just update them. And so far, I haven't had no performance problems or anything else, because I did a video already testing the performance of, what was it, 576.28 compared to 576.52. So there was a little bit of an improvement going from 28 to 50, what was it? 28 to 52. So I got a little bit of improvement from going from one to the next. Now, if I was losing speed, then I would never see that improvement. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So
yeah, it really depends. Also, like if you're going from an older driver like 566.36 to a much newer driver, you're going to see bigger differences on whether there's performance loss or performance gain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did all mine one at a time. So I didn't skip over from one to all the way to the top. December drivers, I put the January, February, all the way up, all the way to now. And like I said, I haven't seen any performance loss yet. Other than the 2 times that I got black screened after it installed, and it was supposed to go to the restart screen. Didn't go there, so I had to hard start my PC. But after that, the drivers worked fine. Did that to 2 sets of drivers to me. But that's the only problem I really had with all the drivers from December till now. I mean, I don't, unless people are having a platform issue, you know, some drivers can be, you know, some motherboards can be affected by certain driver sets, especially with your graphics card. So 9 out of 10 chances, it's to me, it's just sounding like it's coming down to a motherboard issue. You know, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it sounds like it's a little bit of a motherboard issue. Something's not clicking with the PCIe connections. And people have been saying that before, that the PCI going, you know, taking a 5.0 NVIDIA card, taking it down to a 3.0, it doesn't work very well. So, you've heard it, you probably have or haven't, but I've heard it.
I've also seen issues with the 5000 series where they're having issues with the new DisplayPort since they switched from 1.4 to the new 2.1 standard.
Yeah, heard that too. Maybe because I'm running HDMI. But also too, you can run the DisplayPort to HDMI converter. That would mitigate it too.
Yeah.
That's what I did with my DisplayPorts to mitigate it.
Are you running a 4070 or a 5070?
I'm running a 4070.
Well, the 4070 is not going to have the issue because it's still the older DisplayPort 1.4.
I know, but some people are running into problems with the drivers, the latest drivers, having problems with the DisplayPort, flashing screens and stuff like that on the DisplayPort.
I think that's more of a 50 series issue with the driver rather than a 40 series.
No, I think I had 1 or 2 on my in the what was it, geez, I keep forgetting the names of stuff, guys. I'm old.
In your it's in your I'm having a hard time too.
Community, the community post.
Yeah. So, but those are the ones I think that they're doing the drivers, the test ones. The beta drivers. I think that's what they're down there.
The hot swap
path driver.
Yeah. So and you told them to stay away from those.
Yeah.
Just wait until the main patches come and then download those.
You don't want.
I don't push those either.
You don't want to put any drivers that's not certified by Microsoft. especially in
Yeah.
your PC, because if it's not certified, if it's a beta driver not certified by Microsoft, 9 out of 10 chances you're going to be getting a lot of blue screens. So, and plus, when NVIDIA already said they're going to be writing it into the final version, I wouldn't update it at all if they're going to write it into the final version. That's what they said the last time when I did it on the last video. You know, so if they're going to write it into the final version, it makes no sense to do it and do a hot swap. You know, not unless you're seriously having major issues with your graphics card. That would be the only time. But if you're not, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Am I right or wrong about that? If it's not broke,
Yeah, you only need to update your driver until you're encountering issues. Typically, in general, like if you can't play a new game or you're encountering an issue on your system,
Or if there's a software update or a security update, then you would download those drivers.
well, I look at it like this, guys. If I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to recommend it. You know, if I'm not going to do beta drivers, I've had bad mishaps with beta drivers. So I stick to the final version, and if I don't see the final version, then that's it. It is what it is. You learn to deal with it. But if you go poking around in the system and you don't know what you're doing, then that's where you're running into the issue. So, but yeah, I do agree with the fact of if you don't have any problems with the graphics card at that point in time, and you don't need to update your drivers right away, wait for the benchmarking that comes out with it, so that way you'll know if it's good or bad, instead of sticking yourself into a boat where you got, every time you start up your PC, you got nothing but black screen. You know, that's not good neither. So you don't want drivers can be a good thing and they can be a bad thing. The good thing is they can give you a better quality, but the bad thing is they can give you a really bad quality at the same time. So if your previous driver is working, don't update. And if it's for a game you're playing, I can understand that. But if it's not,
like I encountered for these tech demos, these RTX remix demos, like with Half-Life 2 and Portal. For some reason, the RTX remix versions that they update, they do require you to be on newer NVIDIA drivers. Otherwise, they will not launch.
Yeah. They're starting to do some games like that, right?
Most, like, multiplayer games, they'll occasionally give you, like, a driver warning saying that they recommend you to be on the latest NVIDIA or AMD driver, but they typically will still launch. You can just ignore the prompt.
All right. Tommy, you have a great night and get some sleep. We'll talk to you on the next video. Be safe, man. Glad you came. Go ahead. I had to tell him goodbye, you know. So that way he knows that I was, you know, looking out for him. That's all a part of being a content creator, I guess. So, bottom line of it, at the end of it all, everybody just threw up their arms and said, and this is really what made me upset, was that everybody threw their arms up and said NVIDIA threw out a bad driver. Okay. Why did you update? Did you not read the fine print? Why did you update?
Most people don't.
No, they don't.
The average person is just going to update it because it says to, just like with Windows. People don't look at
the fine
the
print.
reviews of the drivers. They don't, because people don't know. They don't know to read. They don't know where to look. They just don't know.
Well, there's also not a lot of info as well. Like, if you look on YouTube, there's not a lot of people that do driver comparisons on NVIDIA in particular. it's sometimes you don't find out until you experience it yourself, unless you're researching into it.
I do driver. I will do driver comparison once in a while. I did one earlier, but I don't do it all the time because I would do it to see if something. I hear many people are having problems with it, so yeah, I'm going to compare the before and after. So before I updated, I had 576.28. I did a benchmark on it. And I did a benchmark on 576.52. I seen just a hair bit of a gain, not much.
Yeah, I've some of your highest viewed content is your driver content.
Yeah.
So, because people want to know, what's going on with that, especially NVIDIA. Not your, I mean, you've done a couple AMD ones, but nobody seems to really care about AMD drivers on, at least on your channel.
Yeah. Well, so you got to understand too. It could be the simplest things. People could have overclocked RAM, and this is causing instability. Okay. I know, and I heard this from one person a while back. Was they said to me, "Well, I just updated my NVIDIA drivers, and guess what happened? I blue screen all the time." I said, "Yeah. Did you upgrade your RAM, or did you do anything to your system RAM?" "Yeah, I overclocked it." I'm shaking my head. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So he's blaming the problem on the NVIDIA drivers when he blew out his system RAM and didn't balance it correctly, and boom.
Yeah, like when you overclock your RAM, you have to test stability afterwards to make sure that it's stable.
That happened with Frog Boy, by the way.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah, so another issue Frog Boy had was that his BIOS version was causing him issues. He didn't realize to update his BIOS until the last measure that he took. He refused to do it until he had to. And then it finally fixed that issue when he bought a new CPU, motherboard, and RAM. And it just turned out the BIOS version was the problem.
Yeah, but he missed the point. He missed the point.
We watched that.
He missed the point.
He
skipped over the driver. See, the thing is he went from the bottom of the drivers, when like basically the baseline of your drivers when you buy your motherboard, and he just skipped to the top. Worst mistake you could ever make. You go one at a time. The reason why is because there's certain things that they add with every BIOS update. There's certain things that if you don't go one by one, you're going to be missing. It could be for your SSD, an upgrade for your SSD. It's in one of those BIOS updates. And that's what he did. He screwed it up by just jumping from the bottom to the top. I watched that video, and I don't know. What do you guys think about it? I mean, that's the way I thought about it.
So I think what happened was that he was on such an outdated BIOS that he was having instability with his RAM and CPU, essentially. Because I've experienced that before. When I first got my B650E motherboard, I tried updating the BIOS while inside the BIOS, and the PC just crashed during the BIOS update. So I had to use BIOS flashback in order to reflash the BIOS to the latest version, because the BIOS versions just seem very unstable on some of those early ESA versions.
Yeah, but there's not much you can do, and with even like with Asus. So what are the one thing that I know is with my motherboard is if I go to skip over to the newest BIOS, it won't accept it until I go up to that next one. For some reason,
AM4 is more sensitive to that. There are certain AM4 motherboards, like the B350 and B450 versions, that you had to go version by version.
Yeah.
Whereas with AM5, it's not as important to do that. You can skip multiple versions without issues. on AM5.
Yeah, but some of them they don't write the updates for the critical updates for the newest one, all in one, do they?
I'm pretty sure that they do. I'm pretty sure they have everything.
I heard ASRock doesn't do that very well.
I don't know. I don't know if ASRock has that issue because I've only used Gigabyte and Asus so far on AM5.
Yeah.
When I was watching Frog Boy's videos when he was building this system, when he was in his BIOS screen, he has both the CPU and system memory overclocked.
Well, he probably just has Expo or XMP.
Expo, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's standard. Everyone typically enables XMP or Expo on an AM5 or AM4 board.
But if you're going to put in your Windows operating system, leave it stock put your operating system in, leave it stock until you get everything set in for your Windows operating system. Then go mess with it. Don't do it beforehand, as you can wind up crashing right at the beginning of the operating system. So
if the XMP profile is not stable, like for example, if you buy a 6400 megahertz kit of DDR5, you're not going to be able to run an XMP or Expo with Gear 1 very easily because most AM5 CPUs can't run Gear 1 6400, so you have to put uclock equals memclock divided by 2 to get that running stably.
Yeah, but somebody that doesn't have the inclination of anything like that, they just know that somebody told them to go in there and hit the Expo and then, go install your operating system. I've already had a couple people come to me about that. And you know what I told them? I told them, whoever told you that, just go slap them. Just go slap
anyone that's buying a kit of RAM that's above 6,000 megahertz, I would just recommend them to downclock the system multiplier down to 6,000. So like if it's a 6400, go to 6,000. It'll typically run stably just fine.
Well, if they
is there a benefit to getting higher clock and higher RAM and then clocking out?
Only for like timings, or if you wanted like a specific IC, like Hynix M die or Hynix A die. But most of the time, just RAM comes in at like 6400 if you're getting like a 48 gigabyte kit of RAM. But if you're going above 6,000 in Gear 2, though, you want 8,000 because Gear 1 6,000 is still a sweet spot.
Yeah, but you still want it 1-to-1. You don't want to go.
You still want it.
So I'm running 5200. So what benefit would I have to run 6,000 on the 7700X?
Well, because you would be able to get your U clock and your M clock much higher if you're running 6,000, and you would still maintain 1-to-1 ratio. And then also your FCLK. Typically, you want your FCLK equal to your mem clock divided by 3 as well.
6,000 would get all that where it needs to be.
Yeah, so your FCLK is typically 2,000, and then if you're running 6,000, your U clock and M clock would be 3,000.
So how much of a difference do you think I would see in a gaming scenario? It would depend on the game, but
it would depend on the game. Maybe like 5-10%, maybe.
It's not bad, considering.
But that's if it's like a CPU heavy and RAM heavy game.
But the other differences I would see is
speed.
What exactly.
You would see speed.
Like the system would start up faster.
Not necessarily on that one.
Well, no.
That's probably more memory.
In some
hard drive.
In some systems, guys, some people say, "Oh, you're not going to see much difference, this and that." But I can tell you this: I have a 3,200 megahertz, 64 gigabyte kit, and it's 4 sticks. I can take this and push it to 3,600 megahertz with no problem. And everything moves a lot faster. But But when you're using a stick, let's say you're using 2 sticks and you're not using 4, and what's now recommended right now for AM5 to use 4 sticks, you're best off to use 2 because you get better ratios with 2. And basically, if you get clockable set, you can get clockable RAM and clock it up at least 2 to 400 megahertz and still get a better, push. See, when you push them chips a little bit harder, okay, they give you a little bit more. And, people are saying, well, how people clock their RAM? Basically they got 6,000 megahertz RAM, and then they say, okay, well, I want to clock my RAM upwards. So they take out the 2 sticks of 6,000, and then they put in 6,400.
The problem with that, though, is that you can't maintain 1-to-1 ratio with 6,400.
I know.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're going to overclock above 6,000, ideally you're going to want at least a 7,200 megahertz, if not 8,000 kit, so you can run 8,000 in year 2.
But
so what happens if you can't maintain a 1-to-1? What'll happen to
performance? You'll lose performance even compared to the lower frequency in year 1.
Okay. So am I not running 1-to-1 in a 5200?
You would definitely be running year 1 with that, I would imagine, but you have to double check in Zen timings to make sure.
Yeah, what type of die are you using? Because all I know is I would never run M die. I will only run A die or B die. I would never run M die.
B die, I believe, is only on DDR4, and that's for Samsung.
Yeah, I know.
M die and A die are Hynix on DDR5. They're both fine.
I've already ran M die on one of my motherboards, and it just didn't clock out correctly with me. So,
is that a DDR4 kit or DDR5?
This is DDR4 kit.
Okay, yeah, DDR4 and DDR5 are completely different.
Oh, I know they're different. They're going to clock up differently. But in the end of the day, if you go and you look at it in a general sense, then basically you could get AM5 to clock up better. As everybody says, oh yeah, it's got more frequency, It can have all the frequency at once. It's the spectrum that makes the difference, not how high it clocks. It's not how high it clocks, it's the spectrum. Okay, AM4 carries the same spectrum as AM5. One has different frequency than the other, but they both carry the same load of spectrum. So if you don't understand how the spectrum works, then, it's kind of hard for you to clock up your RAM, because now you're trying to figure and trying to get it and mold it. I've molded mine. So I got mine to work just correctly, and it's stable, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't run high.
DDR4 by default will give you much lower timings than DDR5, which is why you have lower latency by default, even with lower frequencies, which you have to really tune those timings down with DDR5 in order to get that latency down, and that's why you don't always have to overclock it as hard as long as you're maintaining a good 1-to-1 ratio.
Mm-hmm. So CL16 and DDR4 is the same as CL32 and DDR5?
Not really. No. I mean, it depends on what frequencies that you're running.
Okay. So if it's like 3200 and 6400, which would be the double, right? But it doesn't work the same in AM5.
But the thing is that you have to realize, is that 6400 running in year 1, or is it running in year 2? Because 6400 in year 2 is actually worse than 3200 year 1.
See, this is stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, ideally, 6,000 megahertz in year 1 is like the equivalent of 3,600 megahertz in, like, year 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
See that's why they say the 6,000 is the sweet spot, just like the 3,600 is the sweet spot for both AM4 and AM5. So even
Doesn't AMD run better on 3600? Like that's AMD sweet spot, right?
For DDR4 on AM4 it is.
yes.
But for Intel, it doesn't work that way at all.
It depends on what Intel platform we're talking about here. Like, are we talking about Alder Lake, Raptor Lake? Are we talking about
So it makes it different. Okay.
Yeah, there's multiple Intel generations, a lot more than AMD's.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, let me do this. Let me go ahead and sign off of the stream. It looks like we're losing viewers anyway, so it looks like everybody's going to bed. So we could stay on we could stay on Discord if you want, but we're gonna go ahead and call it quits on the stream. So guess what, guys? If you enjoyed the stream today, put a like on the video. Even though it's a streaming video, put a like on it anyway. And if you enjoyed today, then, or tonight, or whatever you're at, then hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Don't forget about the notification bell so you know when I post the next video. Until the next time, in the next video, y'all know who it is, and we'll see you on the next one. Oh, and guys, say goodnight, to the crowd.
Good night. See you later.
See you later.
Catch y'all later. Bye-bye now.